Good evening, dear friends. Almost everyone has experienced numbness or loss of sensation in their fingers or hands at least once in their life. Maybe at night, for example, you slept in a certain position and woke up because your hand or wrist had lost sensation. This happens when you are in an uncomfortable position and one of your nerves starts to get compressed. Depending on the level where the compression occurs, either the whole arm goes numb or just part of the hand or certain fingers. For example, you may also experience weakness in the arm, but there are cases when numbness and nerve compression are not caused by body position. For example, when you sleep lying on your arm like this, it goes numb. But sometimes numbness occurs constantly or in certain positions, like when you move your arm, your head, or even your neck. Many people think that numbness is a sign of poor blood supply. But usually it's not about blood supply, it's about nerve compression, especially if the numbness is localized and triggered by a certain position. Most often it's the ring and index fingers that go numb, or these 3 fingers, or these 2 fingers, the index and middle fingers. And depending on which finger is numb, you can already tell which nerve it is. For example, if it's the pinky and ring fingers, that's the ulnar nerve. If it's the middle finger and index finger, that's the median nerve. If weakness occurs when you pick up an object and you can't hold it, weakness when flexing is also either compression and dysfunction of the median nerve or the ulnar nerve. If, on the contrary, the weakness is when extending the wrist, muscle atrophy is also possible, even a decrease in the volume of certain hand muscles. Sometimes this muscle becomes smaller in volume. This also involves the ulnar and median nerves or the muscles on this surface, the dorsal surface of the forearm, that's the radial nerve, and the method of recovery depends on where and how strongly a particular nerve is compressed. Now, the places where they can be compressed. The main symptoms are loss of sensation, weakness, and pain. Over time, pain can also occur in the muscles they innervate. Due to impaired innervation, the muscle can be constantly injured. The muscle tendon can be injured and become inflamed under stress. If there is already too much constant compression of the nerve, then the loss of sensation can become permanent and the weakness more pronounced and constant. Depending on where the nerve is being compressed, this weakness will appear in different positions. The first level of compression is in the neck at the level of the scalene muscles, and this most often happens in the neck area. If we don't consider a herniated disc where the nerve root might be compressed, there will be sharp pain in the arm. Let's take a chronic process as an example. And that's why the first level is between the scalene muscles right here in the neck. The second level is at the forearm right here. If it's the median nerve, then it gets compressed in the area of the pronator teres muscle. That's the muscle located in the upper part of the forearm right here. Its main function is to rotate the forearm like this. It turns the hand from a position where the palm is facing up to a position where the palm is facing down. That's the kind of movement it makes. The supinator is the muscle that does the opposite movement, like this. And the pronator teres is located in such a way that the median nerve passes right through it. It has 2 parts, 2 heads, the humeral and the ulnar. And then it attaches to the radius. Right between the radius and the ulna, between these heads, in this gap right here, the median nerve passes right through the muscle like this, and very often it gets compressed exactly in this spot. Why does this happen? Because the muscle loses its elasticity. But the consequences of damage to this muscle when it becomes fibrotic or goes into spasm are significant. It spasms either from overuse, but in that case there have to be very heavy loads on the hand, on the forearm, with these repetitive movements to overload it. As a rule, it gets damaged because it is very weak, and any fairly strong movement starts to injure it. That's why there can be different types of exercises, some to strengthen this muscle and others to relax it and improve blood supply, which we did today. The ulnar nerve, most often it gets compressed right here in the area where the flexor carpi ulnaris is located and where it gets stretched. So the hand has several flexors. There's the radial one, there's the ulnar one, and one of the muscles that flexes the hand is called the flexor carpi ulnaris. And when this muscle gets overstrained and tight, it often loses its elasticity, becomes fibrotic in this area, and that's where compression of the ulnar nerve occurs. So first you can determine exactly where your nerve is being compressed. How? For example, if you feel weakness in your hand, you can check where it's happening.
Aging doesn't just appear in your joints or back, it also shows on your skin as loss of firmness, fine lines, and wrinkles. This is what happens to your skin as you get older. But all those issues are exactly what Okowa is clinically designed to address. And with my exclusive coupon code, you can get a 15% discount. As a doctor, when it comes to visible skin firming and facial rejuvenation, I often recommend Okwa. Proper skin preparation is essential. First, cleanse and dry your skin, then rub it between your fingers. The texture is lightweight. Apply it especially near the eyes and on the cheeks.
Look at this side with Okowa. It's smoother, tighter, more lifted, and even glowing. My natural skin wrinkles, and the difference is clear.
With consistent use, women notice reduced fine lines, a more lifted appearance, and improved skin quality over time. Scan the QR code or click the link below. Use code Alexeyev15 and get 15% off.
Oh, and most importantly, the second place where the nerve gets compressed is in the area of the pectoralis minor muscle. So we have the neck, the pectoralis minor, and the forearm. These are the three most common places where the nerve gets compressed. So how can you determine where it's being compressed? It might even be compressed in all three places, but how can you check where it's worse or exactly where it is? Let's say you have weakness in your hand. You feel it, for example, when gripping, right? Or numbness, maybe it's there all the time or it appears from time to time. Check if this weakness depends on turning your head. So turn your head to one side, check something, pick up some objects. Does the weakness change when you turn to one side or the other? But usually it's when you turn to the opposite side. If the scalene muscle is shortened, it causes even more weakness in the arm. If it's the pectoralis minor muscle, or if numbness appears, if the pectoralis minor muscle is shortened, there can be different possibilities here, because there might be swelling or it might be fibrotic and not elastic. Here, try moving your arm back like this and also see if numbness appears or not. So in this position, check the strength of your hand. Try holding or squeezing something. Try it in this position and then do the opposite movement. See how the numbness changes, whether it becomes more or less. And the third area is the forearm. Turn your arm inward, check the strength, then turn your arm outward. If in one of the positions the weakness or numbness increases or decreases, that's also a sign that this is exactly where it's being compressed. If you couldn't determine it, but you have these symptoms, weakness and numbness, you'll have to work on all three areas. So, How can you relax the scalene muscle? Turn your head to the opposite side. Let's say you need to relax the right scalene muscle. First, find the sternocleidomastoid muscle, its posterior edge. Place your fingers behind it, behind the posterior edge of the scalene muscle and along the posterior edge of the scalene muscle. And just stroke it like this. Make this movement and do about 10 repetitions like that. You can do this movement on both sides. After you've done 10 repetitions, move on to the next step. In the same position, also place your fingers along the posterior edge of the sternocleidomastoid muscle and start making movements, tilting your head like this, ear toward the shoulder, then the other side, while keeping the rotation. At the same time, press your fingers into the muscle, gradually moving your fingers a bit lower, like this, toward one ear, then the other, back and forth. And once again, smooth it out right here. So in this way, you relax the scalene muscle and the fascia of the scalene muscles. Another option, also in the same place, but this time you place your hand above the clavicle. You maintain pressure, kind of stretching the skin right here, and at the same time the fascia, while your head is slightly tilted to the right. Then you move in the opposite direction, keeping your hand above the clavicle, and at the same time both the fascia and the skin will be stretched right here. And at the same time, the scalene muscle itself, there are 3 of them, anterior, middle and posterior. This mainly affects the anterior and middle ones. Next is the pectoralis minor muscle, but weakness of the scalene muscles doesn't just happen on its own. It's often accompanied by not weakness. Shortening of the scalene muscles doesn't just happen for no reason. It is often accompanied by weakness of the neck extensors, the long extensors. How to restore them? All these exercises are available at the link in the description. You can check them out there. Next, we have the pectoralis minor muscle. Stretching it is not difficult. You can stretch it in a doorway or even against a wall like this, for example. Stand up, place your arm at shoulder level, make sure your elbow is up. And then lean forward a little, turn away from your arm, and here you will feel a stretch in the area of the pectoralis major and minor muscles. You can do this on one side, then the other, or you can do both at the same time in a doorway. These exercises are also explained in detail. Everything is available at the link in the description. And through this link, you get 2 days of free access in honor of the arrival of spring and the melting of the snow. So, this was more or less familiar to us, and now we've made it here, to the forearm. Here as well, in order to relax the pectoralis minor muscle, by the way, we can also work on it using various balls and rollers. That is this whole area here, like this. Well, this ball is small. It's better to use a bigger one. So all these spots near the wall, between the wall and the muscles, you place the ball, move around, adjust and work it out. I've shown this many times. Now, the forearm itself, you can also relax it, massage it first, divide the forearm into 3 parts. The middle part, the part that goes along the line of the little finger, and here the outer part. It's convenient to do this using improvised means. For example, at home, it's easy to do on a chair. Here's the back of a chair. You place your arm on it, and in this way you massage all of this area. If you find painful spots, you linger on them. You can use your other hand to increase the pressure. Then here you work through all these areas next to the ulna and here as well. So you massage all of this area, but I'm showing it quickly. You should do it more slowly. spending more time on tense or painful areas. Start there. And now let's move on to training the forearm muscles. The pronator tears. How do you train it? Take a resistance band for this, but you can attach it roughly at elbow level, a little higher or lower. Stand sideways, hold the band in your palm like this, and start moving your hand in this direction. So, starting from a position where your palm is facing up, begin to turn it until your palm is facing down, like this. And try to do the reverse movement more slowly. Choose a resistance band so that it's not too hard, so you can perform the movement more or less freely. This is an exercise for the pronator, the muscle called the pronator teres. The opposite movement is an exercise for the supinators. So here we take the resistance band. Before we were holding it on the thumb side and turning it inward like this. Here we hold it on the pinky sides, so that the end we've hooked is on the pinky side. And we start from a position where the back of the hand is facing up, and here we make a turn like this. There. Each of these exercises should be done for 5 to 10 repetitions. If you get tired, do fewer reps. So don't push yourself to exhaustion. So do it in one direction, then the other. You can alternate like this, do it this way, then that way, stretch like this, then stretch like that. So here we're training both external rotation and internal rotation at the same time. Continue. For the next exercise, we'll be working on movement inward and outward. Here you need to take a small towel and attach it to the band like this. Like this. You take it with your hand just like this and pull it toward yourself, making this kind of movement right here. So you pull it back again. Basically, you're bending your wrist and try to do the reverse movement slowly as well. Here, your fingers are at the end range. Try to straighten them a little. So, you do this movement, then pull back, do it and pull back again. There are two variations of this exercise. The first one is to keep your fingers in this position all the time and bend them from here, this way. You are training your wrist flexor. And the second is to try to straighten them a little, as much as possible during the movement. This way you'll get this kind of movement. So with finger extension, you're training the superficial and deep finger flexors. And with this kind of movement, you're training the wrist flexors. So the towel is needed here to make it more comfortable to use the muscles that flex your fingers during this exercise. You can also do the previous exercise this way using the towel. Try it both ways, in one direction and the other. All right? And the next exercise is for the wrist extensors. Right here. Here we take the band like this, starting from a position where the wrist is slightly bent, like this. And then we extend it outward, making this kind of outward movement. If you have a round band like this, you can even do this movement with both wrists at the same time. But the main thing is to have the right amount of tension, or you can do it like this. On one side and on the other side as well. It's good to combine it with flexion. If you do flexion without the towel, you see the band here is a bit loose, so it's better to use the towel itself here. Parrot. You can also try doing movements like this, where one hand holds a bit from below overrod. And with the other you make this kind of twist. Do it on both sides as well. This way we restore blood circulation, elasticity, and the strength of the forearm muscles. So, friends, share your impressions. What results did you get from this workout? Also, let me remind you that by following the link in the description, you already have 2 days of free access to all the exercises waiting for you. See you in the next episodes.